going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we got a new project. It's another Trans Am. Yay! All right, story time. Fellow I work with, brother-in-law, had this car. He was gonna restore it. A couple years ago, actually, he came and bought these from me, these little fender inserts. So he was gonna restore it, worked on it for a few years, basically gave up on it. Guy I worked with, his brother-in-law, said, hey, he's looking to sell the car, you'd be interested? I said, sure. So we called him up when we were at work. He said, well, I said, how much you want for it? He said, $800. It runs, I have a title, and it's got a brand new EFI fuel pump in the tank in it. I said, I don't even need to see the thing, sold. So, bought the car, sat for 2 weeks because the guy I worked with got COVID, and long story short, just went and picked it up today. So, let's take a little tour of the new baby. All right, so what we got here is a 78. I'm assuming it's a Trans Am because it does have the fender skirts on the back. It's got a Firebird hood with the Trans Am fender, so I don't know what's original and what's not. He had the car for, I want to say he said 4 or 5 years. So I don't know what he has or hasn't done to it. I don't even know if it was originally blue or not. I don't think it was. I think it was black. But regardless, we're getting off subject. This is it. It is, honestly, it's fairly solid. Now the fenders, I don't know if you can see they got some Bondo in them. Both lower fenders and the typical lower quarters are pretty bad on both sides. It's got a little bit of rust right about there, and same on the other side. Trunk floor is in pretty good shape. It's got a little bit of pinholes here and there, but most of it's solid. The tail panel actually looks pretty good from up top. We'll get to underneath in a minute. It's got a good set of taillights and a spare set of taillights. Bumpers, well, bumper's bad. But the spring pockets up here for the trunk lid is actually really good, which is good. Pretty good around the rear window, no issues there. Same story over here for the lower quarter. I don't know if you can see the rust. And over here, rockers are actually solid. Doors are actually very good. This passenger door is perfect. The driver door is actually really good, which I'm stealing for this car. This car is gonna get painted come spring. When I say get painted, I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna try to paint it. And this door is just super surface rusty, which isn't bad. This door is definitely savable, but it would take a lot more work than that one. So that one's getting stolen come springtime. Put on here to paint this car. That's gonna tie back in a minute here. But anyway, driver's side fender is actually pretty good, except for here. I don't think there's any Bondo in it, which is good. I think it's just this lower patch. The nose is actually pretty good too. We'll get back to that. So, under this actually perfectly good Firebird hood, anybody wants it, for sale. Under the hood, we have the original, what he says is the original 400. I'm told this car runs. I'm told it actually drove. He put the EFI tank in it. You can see he's got a regulator and yada, 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 a little fuel filter and all that stuff. He said the regulator needed to be messed with. It keeps flooding the carb out. Other than that, it ran. Granted, this car has sat, I think 2 years, he said, at the guy I work with's house. He towed it down from his house to his brother-in-law's house. Don't know why. He never said why. They shoved it in the field behind the house, and it's been sitting under a tarp since. So, it ran 2 years ago, he said. I checked the oil. Oil's pretty clean in it. So I think there's hope. I know it's free. It's not locked up. It looks like he's done some work to it. It's got, it's got a new water pump on it. That is actually an Edelbrock intake, which is good. Got rid of the EFI, or the EGR crap. It's got an Edelbrock carb on it. That carb looks grungy. I have another one that we're going to swap that out with, because I don't know how long it's been sitting and what the fuel situation looks like. But it is actually an air-conditioned car, cruise control car, power brakes, all the works. Power windows, all that good stuff in it. Windshield, of course, is cracked. Every car I've ever freaking seen is a cracked windshield. I have back windows. I have no windshield, so of course, that's annoying. Anyhow, Let's look at the interior here. It's got some decent door panels, to be honest with you. I can't tell if that's just wear through or if these have actually been dyed black. I don't think, well, they might have. I can't tell. Anyhow, door panels are decent-ish. Seats are beautiful. These front seats are in very good condition, although I don't think those are a matching set. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. I want to say this. No, these aren't the deluxe, were they? These were the standard seats, I believe, and those are deluxe. I don't know. I'm not too up on that. Anyway, we've got a center console. Gauges are on the floor. Wiring's all those. Shifter works. I'd pop the neutral, get on the tow truck. Floorboards are, you know, typical F-body stuff. Same in the back. Floorboards back here. A little rough. Honestly, I don't even know what's in this car. I haven't even looked in it very well. He's got a bunch of LED light bars. There's a big one over there. I got a Chevy gauge cluster and alternator, some speaker boxes. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, that's it. Dash is putrid, but they make covers for those. Other door panels in decent shape too. Pretty solid car. It's got a sweet felt headliner someone put in here. The body of the car looks really good. I haven't seen any Bondo in the body, other than obviously the quarters and, you know, fenders. Everything looks good. So, I know the next question is, what's the plan for this car? This car, preface this, I have gotten some hate, some serious hate, over what I have done to that car over there. With the tires and the lift. I've gotten some serious hate for what I did to this car. People say I've ruined it, yada, 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 yada. But at the end of the day, it's my car. I've always wanted to do that. I love that car. We're going to finish that car pretty soon. Anyway, this car. I have some big plans for this thing. Like I said, I'm going to steal this door and put on that car because I plan on painting that car come spring. And I'm going to swap that door back onto here. It's in decent enough shape. I have a shell of a 79. I have a shell of a 79 over there in the corner in the woods. And it's got doors on it that need to be reskinned. I'm going to probably try my hand at reskinning one of those just to see if I can do it. And if I can, we'll plop it on here. Good to go. So what we're going to do, the plan is take this nose off, put on that car because that nose is actually starting on the underside. It's crumbling. It's like dry rotted and crumbling. This one's in decent shape. So it's getting transferred over along with the driver door. So that leaves the question, what do I put on here? Follow me. What we are going to do is this. This right here is a 72, I believe, nose. I got the nose, the valence panel sitting on top of it. I actually have the brackets to weld to the fenders to hook the valence to. I got all the brackets for the front bumper to bolt everything up. So we're going to put a 72 nose on it instead of the 78. Now, people, calm down. I'm not going to put a 72 nose on it on a 78 and leave the back window. I actually have the matching rear window. The rear window on the 70 through 74, if I'm correct, window is a lot smaller. It doesn't wrap around the hood or wrap around the body like the 75 and ups do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull the back windshield, put that one in, weld in some material to fill in the gaps, and then put the 72 nose on it. So we're going to make this a 72-ish clone. In reality, it's going to look like someone took a 74 and put a 72 nose on it. And, obviously, it's got to have the Formula hood on it. I do have to change the fenders out because the Formula Firebird didn't have the Trans Am scoops. Obviously, it was Firebird, not a Trans Am. So, plan for this car is to make her a clone. Now, before anybody asks, no, I'm not going to do what I did to that car with it. I'm going to keep it stock height. I got to get rid of these rims for sure. Going to do that. The rear window, like I said. That car is almost done. I got to paint it, obviously. I am looking into getting an EFI kit for it. So this car is not being put off to the side. It's actually, I don't know what you want to call it, done, for the lack of a better term, until I get some money to buy the EFI kit and paint it. So we are, however, going to work on this car in the meantime. I was told it runs, so we're going to see if I can't get it to run. I don't know when the last time gas was put in this car, so I don't know what's in there, if it's good or not. So I'm going to try to just see if I can't disconnect the fuel system maybe. He did say the regulator needed to be played with. It was pushing too much fuel and flooding everything. So we'll look at that. So step one, let's see if we can get this thing running. So I've gone ahead and put a battery in it, and I've disconnected the fuel line. I want to see if anything comes out. There's no gauges in the car, so I don't know how much is supposed to be in the tank. I want to see what comes out, if anything, and then we'll move on. So I got the key turned on. I'm gonna go ahead and hook the battery. Man, that is a lot. That thing is flowing. All right. Let's have us a sniff test. Now, pay no attention, there was oil in the bottom of this bucket, so. It honestly doesn't smell bad. Doesn't smell super varnishy. So, I'm gonna hook that up. Now, he did say it was flooding because it was putting way too much fuel in this thing. I know stock fuel pump on these things, golly, correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments what it is if I am wrong. I believe it's like 4 to 7, maybe? Something like that on the stock fuel pump. The EFI knows a lot higher. He said it was way too much, so it needs to be adjusted. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the stuff out to adjust that. We'll hook it back up and turn the key and see what the gauge reads when it starts to actually build pressure. So let me do that real quick. Everything hooked up, I got this on here. I'm gonna hook the battery back up and see what pressure we are building. All right, so nothing. Great. Now, I don't know if that gauge is messed up, but it says it didn't move, so that's weird. I couldn't see down the carburetor. It's dark in there. I'm gonna put a light in there to see if anything's flowing out of it. This does have a return on it, so I don't know what's going on with that. That thing is, the screw port is set all the way out. I'm gonna screw it in, see if that changes anything when I hook the battery up. And if not, we'll go from there. All right, let's see if that changes anything. Alrighty. It's definitely pumping fuel. I'm assuming that since it's spewed out of the vent, probably a little gummed up in that carburetor. I do have another Edelbrock, the exact same carburetor. So I'm assuming, I think, for the fuel pump, let's see. Perfect, okay. So yeah, that's for the fuel pump. So we'll leave that disconnected for now. I just want to hear this thing run. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I know we've got clean oil. Fuel dripping out, don't worry about that. There does appear to be some fuel going into the engine. It's full now, so. Now, I can go ahead and check for spark and all that stuff, but like I said, this car, it was running and driving until he did the fuel system, and then he hasn't run it since, so it's been about 2 years. So this motor should be fine. I'm gonna forego all the spark checking, this, that, and the other. I'm gonna just crank her over, see what happens. So let's do that. viable option. We're getting a spark. So we'll pull one of these spark plugs out and see if we can't check for some spark. Let me know if you see it. Alright, now I don't know if you guys could see, but we had a spark that whole time it was spinning over. Got the distributor cap popped up. I don't really know if you can see too well in there. There's definitely a little bit of corrosion on those terminals. So he's replaced cabin rotor before, but you know, it sat in a field for 2 years. So we'll go ahead and zizz those cleaned up real quick. We'll throw this back on, see if we don't have some more spark. Alright, so I seem to have some spark now. This battery terminal looks a little rough along with these connections. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace that, get a real good connection, everything on there, and get some starting fluid and see if we can't get this thing to come alive. Thinking about it. Well, it sputtered, so we know it's there. Like I said, I've got another one of these Edelbrock carburetors. I'm gonna get a gasket for it, and I'm gonna swap it out. I'm gonna go ahead and buy a new gauge for this regulator, see if that gauge is bad or if it's just, I don't know what's going on with that. When we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get some spark plugs, and we'll give this girl a tune-up and probably some fresh oil, and let's get this thing running. I do. It's gonna crank, it's gonna be down. I think our timing's off. Let's see if we can, I don't have a timing light, so we're just gonna see if we can fiddle with this distributor. All right, so it was running, sort of, catching on fire more or less. I messed with the distributor one way, didn't even want to crank after that, so now we went back the other way. Let's see if it's any better. So I think I might have figured out our problem. I pulled the fuel line back off, and this is what came out. I first checked the fuel in that bucket, but it had a little bit of oil in it, so I didn't need to look at the color. But that is what came out. Good news is, that's all that came out. The tank is now empty. I'm gonna run to the gas station, get some fresh, clean gas, dump it in here, flow a little bit through there, see if we can clean it up, because it runs on the carb cleaner, but not when I shoot gas in it. So I'm gonna go get some gas real quick. All right, so I got about 4 gallons in the tank now. I'm gonna go ahead and let it cycle for a little bit until I get fresh, clean gas coming out, and then we'll see if we can't cycle through the carburetor. Now we're talking. Yeah, that looked much better. You can already see it's clearer. We're gonna go ahead, hook it back up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this carb back off and drain it. I didn't replace the gasket when I first swapped the carb because I didn't have one, but I got one. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, drain that nasty crap out of the carburetor, and throw a fresh gasket in there to stop any vacuum leaks. So let's do that. Yeah, that can't be firing very well. Let's put this back on with the new gasket and throw some fresh gas in there. All right, now I gotta just prime it. See if it runs any better. Hey, it runs. So I guess, yeah, that dark brown gasoline wasn't any good. So still run like crap. I'm gonna see if I can get it to idle at least. I had to open the door, getting a little hazy in here. Let's see if we can get this thing to idle real quick. Feels like it's got a brake pedal. Let's see if I can't get onto the lift over here. I gotta change the oil. I want to see what's underneath, see what we're looking like underneath. So let's see if we can get this thing to go outside. If you wire around the ignition wire to the coil, straight to battery, the ignition key no longer shuts the car off. So, you know, keep that in mind. Alrighty, I'm not even gonna check that because I ain't got any more, so it doesn't matter what I do. Went ahead and hooked the original coil wire back up. So let's take it for 2. Easy, girl. Smells like it's on fire. The door panel ripped off when I tried to close it. Other than that, it's a good machine. It's a great machine. Let's get her up in the air. All right. Yeah, it's air conditioned stuff. It must be out of power steering fluid because I had 0. But this is her. The guy that was originally restoring this car, he put some work into it. You know, like I said, he was trying to get things fixed and restore it, but he never got around to it. Got some weird aftermarket trans cooler going on here. Yeah, we got a little rust in the core support, but other than that, the core support is very solid, which is good because they're expensive. Like I said, this bumper is really good under here. Mine on that car, this whole lip is crumbling. So that's gonna get changed. Under here, like I said, it's just stock mostly. He did have an exhaust put on, it looks like. Not a bad looking exhaust, I guess. Sounds a little weird, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a Turbo 350? You tell me, because I don't know. I'm going off what I was told. Underside's not too bad. I wanted to paint the frame at one point. Frame's fairly solid. Floors aren't bad. The actual floors, you know, under the footwells are rough. Daylight. Ooh, that's been painted. That's a couple horsepower right there. Rear floors, this one's actually not that bad. Yeah, someone's puttied over that. This one is pretty bad right here. I can see some rust and some daylight peeking through on the top side. Other than that, not too terrible. This is the fuel lines they ran to the tank back here. Brand new Spectre EFI tank, so that's nice. He's got the AN fitting lines going all the way through it. Yeah, tail panel leaves some work to be desired, but honestly not too terrible. Bumper's gone, but to be expected. A little 10 bolt. Yeah, rear frame rails look pretty solid. At least what I can see. Look pretty solid up there. All in all, not a bad car. Considering that I paid $800 for it, it runs, moves technically, and had a clean title. Not a bad purchase, I don't think. Like I said, I got some plans for this thing. I'm gonna not necessarily restore it. Need some body mounts. Not gonna restore it by any means, but I'm gonna make it nice, fix all the rust, make it a driver. This is the one that I'm kind of going all in on. Don't look at the outside. She's gonna get painted. But yeah, not a bad car. Needs lower quarter patches. Somebody's Bondo the bejeebers out of them, but the upper quarter seems pretty solid. Lip's all right. Same story on the other side. Needs a little patch right here. Looks like fiberglass. That's great. On there, fenders. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these fenders. I don't know if I'm gonna patch them or replace them. I think it's just pretty much here. But like I said, I'm gonna go with Firebird fender, so I have to fill the hole, fill the holes, whatever. This other side, it's pretty good. Honestly, the only rust is right there. So this one I'll probably save, but that's down the road. That's it. That's gonna be it for this video. Just kind of getting her running and moving under her own power again. In the next video, we're gonna try to dive into it a little bit more. I got some things to do. Probably this one's not gonna be a main priority. This is gonna be a slow tinker on project. I got some things to do this, which are kind of a big deal. Some other cars to work on, but yeah. Appreciate y'all for watching. As always, give us a like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Appreciate y'all watching. Give us a thumbs up, and we will see y'all in the next one. I'm not paying attention where I'm cameraing. But everything... Ew. Why aren't you focusing? Anyway, I'm rambling. So, what we're gonna do, here's what we're gonna do. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull with it, or, well, that's gonna get changed.